Welcome to the Coach's Decision. Disclaimer. The views, language, and candor expressed on this series are designed to provoke thought and conversation amongst adults. Some opinions and perspectives may be unsuitable for those who are emotionally weak. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right. Welcome to Coach's Decision with Chris Reed, where we dive into topics each week that help you or someone close to you get through. Many of my clients are skilled at the game of life, but there are times when you have to protect the players from themselves. There's times where you need a coach's decision. My top client and producer will enlist the help of you, the audience, to navigate these times each week. Hey, before we get into what you have for them today, I wanted to, first of all, thank everybody that's supporting and maintaining that support. We started off this thing February the 7th with 0. April the 7th, we had 30 subscribers. And March the 7th, we had 30 subscribers. And April the 7th, we had 500 subscribers. Today, we at like 560 or something like that. So I appreciate y'all supporting and showing the love. This all began from me talking to my sister Kendra, and she said, "You know what? You should do this for people. You should talk to people. You have a way with words, and I think you should do it." So I put 6-7 months into some training, and then got the certificate to do life coaching, and it's been a fun thing ever since then. But you, my producer, I decided to take your sessions and expand them to the people and let them get in on what you got going on. So I appreciate you allowing that for the folks to get in on some of your game, and we just gonna keep doing the damn thing like beavers.
Yeah, so I'm thankful for the people listening, and I'm thankful for you for allowing it to happen. I mean, these are my sessions I already paid for. I just thought it'd be good for everybody to check it out. So appreciate you allowing people to get some of this game in the little bite-sized chunks. So
Right.
no, thanks, Coach.
Absolutely. So what you got for me this week? What's on your mind? What's on your heart?
Since we're talking about the sessions, one of the most impactful sessions we had, I think, we had several sessions about happiness, right? Mm-hmm. We could talk about happiness for probably 80 sessions, but one particular one was we were talking about the whole person. Like some people say, bringing your true, authentic self everywhere you go. And when we talk about that, it really made me hone in and think about the people who weren't. So I know a guy, I won't say his name, who didn't bring his authentic self. He was bringing who they wanted to promote in the company, and he wasn't happy. So can you talk a little bit more about how to bring your authentic self or your whole person everywhere you go? Because we need to some people are fake and around other people, and they let other people decide what makes them happy or what makes them successful.
Right.
That's what I want to talk about.
I think the most important thing is your happiness is not a community project, right? Your relationship is not a community project. Your happiness is not a community project, meaning you don't have to prove to other people why you're happy. I'm a minimalist. You know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time, I live where I live and drive what I drive and all this because of what my wife wants. I could live in a gas station bathroom with internet service. You know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up. I don't need all of this. I'm cool, right? But the fact is, you want to have a happy ecosystem around you. And so you generate different things. It's many people, I'm sure, on this chat that don't love going to work or love their job, or your job is not responsible to make you happy. Your job is responsible to give you a check. You know what I mean? So you have to take situations where you can control your happiness, whether it be your relationships or your hobbies and things of that nature, and squeeze as much happiness out of there. I think where you find people identify the lack of happiness is they're worried about things that they don't have control of. If you have control of it and you're still not happy, that's just your hustle. Like you're just destined to be a miserable human being, and you need to be cool about it because this has been this way probably your whole life. Or something dramatic happened where you should seek out a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a coach to help you come out of that rut. But in the idea of you deserve to be happy, or you've put yourself in a position where you expect happiness to just follow you around, it would be weird if you were walking around skipping and humming and snapping your fingers and whistling all the time. At some point in time, you got to level this thing out. We talked a couple of weeks ago in one of your sessions about being a 7, a constant 7, that continuity and consistency. So in the idea of the popularity of the struggle story is ridiculous at this point in time in where we are in society. People are competing. And I've said this before, I roll with a couple of guys that got it. They got their act together. Everything is cool. They shouldn't have no issues. But we tend to devolve in our conversations of who got the greatest complaints, who old lady is bagging on them the most, or who got to pay this much bill, or man, I went to the dentist and we tend to gravitate, especially as Black folks, we tend to gravitate towards what we don't have, as opposing to celebrating what we do have, because we don't want to come off as braggadocious. We don't want to come off as elitist. And so since the struggle is the baseline, we constantly play in the baseline, right? And I think that is what you see on people. But the fact that they keep showing up, all work is voluntary. Nobody is drafted. Nobody is slaved to come to a gig. Where the happiness lies is at Bank of America with this dude. Like Bank of America is very happy with him. He just got to reconcile a balance. Like you constantly talk about creating balance. There's a creation of balance that has to be had, where you realize I'm going to give them what they deserve, what they've signed up for with my check, no less, no more. I'm going to make sure I accentuate the resources at my disposal and not try to make a spaceship out of pinto parts. Me and my mom had a conversation a long time ago. They was bagging on her at her job, and she's telling me they bringing her paying like two bad nurses. And I'm like, hey, you got to figure out what is the actual job and what they've equipped you with to do said job. And if they've ill-equipped you, fight back and say, hey, I know y'all said y'all wanted this, but that outcome can't occur with the resources you've provided me. So we need to recalibrate. You had a reduction in staff a couple of years ago. And I say, hey, make sure the first conversation is, what is the new metric? I've lost 50% of my staff. What is my new metric? Because we can't have the same, the math ain't mathing. You know what I'm saying? If I'm down these productive hours. So that's what I would say from an employment perspective, as it relates to being happy. Your job is, there's nothing in the resume. There's nothing in the job description, the requisition. There's nothing from the recruiter. Nobody said you're going to be happy doing this, not even for the pastor.
Speaking of for the pastor, let's talk a little bit about, it was a point you made, and you'll know how to say it better. And the thought was pretty much was, you define your own happiness. Don't let others define it for you. Don't do it for the likes. You define what's happy. Don't let people come to you and say, hey, I see what you're doing. You shouldn't be happy with that. Because people will try to do that if you let them.
The one thing that if you've been doing this long enough, you realize people will spend your money, make assumptions on what you should do, how you should dress, how much you should weigh. If I was your size, I would be doing this. And if I had your looks, I would be. Everybody has interpretations of how you should do you, but it's not an emotional thing. They're just nosy and just giving, critiques because that's what's comfortable, right? In the idea of, I am fine with criticism that is constructive. And so when you think about your happiness, you have to absolutely create your own test, which you shouldn't fail a test that you created. If you're failing a test that you created, this is going beyond what we can provide in a session, right? It's just crazy. And so the concept is, you want to create a threshold and then meet that threshold. And life is a series of moments. It's a if you look at life in a simplistic form, it's a culmination of moments. You went left or you went right. You did this or you didn't do this. And you got to be able to stand on that. You got to be able to do your time if you do dirty. And you had to be able to bask in the glory and smell your own roses. Stop waiting for other people to bring you roses. You can go buy roses if you just want roses, right? But the fact is, we want validation of others. And we put a high mark of qualification of happiness on somebody else's interpretation of what should make us happy. There's a lot of times where you'll have people give you a gift and you'll say, I like this, but I would have never bought this for myself. Those times are cool. But if that's how you are all the time, where you're never doing anything for yourself and you're waiting on someone else to fulfill said happiness, plug in here, you're going to have a miserable life, because whenever somebody is guessing, they're having the opportunity to be wrong. That's what a guess is. A guess is just that. It's like gambling. It's a bad thing if you got a lot of guessing going on. So when I say you got to light your own pilot light, it's a situation where you don't have to explain what makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's not illegal and immoral and getting you locked up, whatever makes you happy, if it's some kind of hub on the internet or some kind of whatever makes you happy that allows for you to be a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, I say lean into your natural inclinations. If we used to, when I used to go hooping, it used to be old dudes out there hooping. They're like, why is these dudes coming out? They doing all the stretching and got the liniment on, and got the knee wrap, the elbow wrap, the wrist wrap. Like, they wrapped up like mummies, but that shit made them happy. And who am I at a public park to infringe on this old man getting these shots off and running up and down getting this cardio. You have to be okay unapologetically making yourself happy.
Okay, so in society, they define happiness for people and tell you what happiness should kind of look like. What should people do when they're considered the weirdo?
We talked about this with the lonely topic. You got to pick a poison, man. You either want to be special or you want to be a normie. We talk about normies all the time, you and I. At some point in time, if you a normie, lean in on that, be that. But don't try to toggle back and forth. That's going to make you dizzy. If you special, be special all the time. Be good with being you all the time. It's been plenty of times where you've been categorized as goofy or a provocateur. One educated gentleman called you a provocateur. And once we unraveled what that all encompassed, you was like, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. So the concept of what makes you happy might not make me happy. Just like people don't have the same hairstyles or the same type of women, that they are attracted to. Stop trying to not be the tall blade of grass. It's okay to bleed the tall blade of grass. It's okay to be your own man, your own woman. But you have to navigate that and realize if you have the constitution to wear them. When you put them drawers on, you got to wear them. And you can't kind of half-ass it. And I think that's where people get messed up is they present themselves aspirationally as one thing. And then when people start treating them like that, it becomes overwhelming because they ain't about that life. I'll give you a great example. We've had this conversation before. I want to get a promotion. I want to get a raise. I want to go back to school. I want to do all these things that I've had years to do because I'm in my 50s, right? And now all of a sudden I'm saying I want all these things. And then when you say why, then the response is because that's what people expect or that's what's supposed to happen. It's one of them, we not getting no younger. We might as well do this. That's not a great reason to get married. It's a song. Leave it as a song. That's art, right?
Today's R&B, that's considered romantic.
So when you romanticize your happiness, it has to start with you and then it has to circle back around with you. Now, if it touches other people along the way, that's cool. No diddy. But it's a situation where you have to make sure that you started and you end it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like playing spades. First card got to go here. Last card got to come to you.
You're dealing with it. Okay.
That's right. That's right. Bars.
So Monique is asking or making a statement, but you're not living in a world with just you. Mm-hmm. There has to be consideration and some sort of balance.
But the balance is derived by you. Meaning, if you allow for the world to dictate or navigate your actions and your movement, the world will send you off and you won't be prepared. You know whether you should be an astronaut. You know whether you should, people will say, you should do this and you should that. You should be married to this kind of guy. Everybody has qualifications of what you should be doing. But you have a women's intuition, the Holy Spirit, gut, instincts that tell you this ain't for me. I don't like these type of women. I don't like to live on this side of town. I don't like to drive a station wagon, right? I don't care how many children, I'm not getting a minivan. You have to put yourself in a situation where you can stand on what you believe in because you created that belief based off of you knowing you. A lot of people don't know thyself, right? Like Descartes, know thyself. Once you know yourself, you can defend yourself in these conversations. And more importantly, some people provide excuses and different feedback unsolicited. They know how to ask you. A lot of them, how many people have sat down and just start talking to you and you're like, why are they telling? I could care less. I could care less, but they looking to you for some type of head nod or validation when you didn't even sign a waiver. And so when you live in a world, I'm not saying you live out in the woods and you the Unabomber. What I am saying is you can surround your world with things that you like. If you live in a Jehovah's Witness neighborhood, you don't have to be a Jehovah's Witness. That's not how that. It just doesn't. You live in a white neighborhood, you don't become white. Like, stop making it seem like the world is so powerful that it's going to make you do this, that, and the third. It's people that don't own cars. It's people that never drove a car or have a license, but the world is set up for drivers. It's people that have not had jobs. It's people that stay at home moms or socialites, but the world is set up for having a job. It's people that didn't go to college, but the world is set up for college goers. Like, we make it seem like you can pick and choose when the world can infringe on your happiness, and that's not true. You can dictate that.
Okay, so as Jasmine was saying, be unapologetically you. Period. So
let me lean in on this just a little bit. I would always prescribe for you to just be unafraid. I think when you feel like an apology is required, you feel like someone has been wronged. But as you famously said, in the front, I have no idea what's going on behind me. Right? So explain that. Explain that to the people a little bit. That concept.
So, as a track meet, as an Olympic runner or at a track meet, or when you're first, you don't know what they're doing behind you. You don't know who's second, third, fourth, how they're feeling, who's last, if their feelings are hurt because they're last, if somebody pulled a hamstring. You have no idea because you're first. You are the first one across the finish line. So when you're a
Absolutely.
leader, really, as a leader, you're not competing. You're not competing with them. You're competing with yourself in that finish line. So the
Absolutely.
finish line is your goal, not
Absolutely.
caring about those people. So yeah, I
Absolutely.
have no idea about those people back there.
And so Henry Ford said, obstacles are the frightful things that we tend to see when we take our eyes off of our goal. The reason why you're noticing all these obstacles is because if you ever seen any fellas out there that's on the chat, I'm hoping we have some, but it's a situation where if you're running, the moment you turn your head to look who behind you, you probably gonna get caught. Like focus, trust your speed. Trust your speed. Don't even
Or
look back.
in football, you're gonna miss the catch. If you're
Yeah,
looking at the
absolutely.
defender, you're gonna miss it.
Absolutely. So you have to have a singular focus on your happiness in the idea of securing your happiness first. Now, if you can then bring your kids along, your spouse along, your friends along, your mom and them along, your aunties, that is great. But you have to control something in order to distribute something. Trust me on this. It's a fleeting concept to believe that your children, your mate, your coworkers, anyone is happy when you're miserable. You can't make it because you don't have the ingredients. You have to secure the ingredients first and then produce that, and then you can distribute it. And if people are telling you that you're making them happy in your misery, those are the worst people to be in your life. People that are feeding off your misery. You know what I'm saying? They say fools make feast and wise men dine upon them. That's a Benjamin Franklin quote, right? so in the idea of stop feeding somebody else's impression of things, feed your own impression. And I'm saying this because it's not easy, and you may need a coach. You may need to reach out to me. It becomes a lonely existence as you purge your way. It's just like getting off drugs. It's the programming. You've been programmed to believe that if these people don't accept you for the way that you are, or these people don't rock with you in this way, or they don't agree with your definition of your happiness, then you're wrong. Once again, if you're not being illegal, immoral, then you can do whatever the hell you want to do. But you got to be able to stand on that and not try to convince or convert somebody into your belief. That's where that belief thing has killed more people in the history of mankind, because people want other people to do what they're doing, and when they don't, they get angry, they get upset, they get frustrated. That is the worst way to live your life. If they have a saying where I'm from, you like it, I love it. That's on you. You like it, I love it.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, just because you like it doesn't mean I like it or love it.
Now let me qualify.
Okay.
You like it, I love it for you. I don't give a fuck. What you eat don't make me shit. Like it's okay. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So, what happiness looks like to Daniel is the Brazilian steakhouse.
So here's the situation. It goes back to you putting your own mask on first. What made me sad about that is if he ever ends up, knock on wood, he never has a bad experience at a Brazilian steakhouse. You know what I'm saying? We got a household of one and done. If we get bad service or something go wrong somewhere, man, we NCAA tournament that thing. We one and done with the whole franchise. And so obviously you got to be careful about extending your happiness to an establishment, because she will shut that down in a heartbeat. But whenever you release that power to an outside entity, it's a situation where you've been programmed to believe that if I do what I'm supposed to do, then they're going to do this every single time. And that's just not the way life works. You know what I mean? You might not always get what you work for, but you're always gonna work for what you get, right? That's Frederick Douglass. You know what I'm saying? You gotta work for what you get. And then sometimes when it don't show up, when it don't happen, you gotta let it burn. You gotta let it burn. You gotta move on. And how long do you give it before you pivot? How long do you give it before you pivot? You can't let things drag you down. And That's just the nature of things. You know what I'm saying? But that's because of the program. That's because of the program. We tend to think what we've been told over time, whether it be at church or in our communities or what we was told at school or things like that. You know, it's just that's not the way it always works. And so you got to be able to forge your own path. Any billionaire will tell you that. Any billionaire, I'm sorry, every billionaire will tell you that somebody told them you might not want to do this, you shouldn't do that. This isn't going to work. That's not going to work. Now, a lot of them are not happily married for 30, 40 years. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. But the fact is, they pick their poison. Once again, they realize Bank of America loves me more than these ladies do. And that's my real love, right? That's my soulmate.
Love language, right?
That's right.
Love languages, deposits.
Right.
So Jessica had a couple of comments here. So take time to know yourself first.
Okay.
And then the next one is, if you're happy, it will produce happiness, period. Any comments on those?
Yes. The good thing about time is it's fluid. And so it could take you 2 minutes, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 hours, 2 years to know yourself. And I think where we reach the threshold of negativity is when you know yourself, but then you want to explain yourself. We're not children. We don't have to explain it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to explain yourself to nobody. When you find yourself in conversations where you're qualifying and explaining your thoughts, actions, abilities, and ideas, these aren't the people that are fulfilling your happiness. They're draining you. These are energy vampires. There's a book called The Energy Bus. Check it out on Amazon. It's real cheap. Energy vampires exist. And these people exist in your life and drain the hell out of your energy. You have to purge yourself of those individuals. Somebody that's always got an issue. It's always, when you see them on the caller ID, you know that there's a 70% chance something has gone wrong and they need you to do something. You know what I'm saying? They need an action from you. It's not just a ear. It's not just a kind word or a prayer warrior situation. They actively need you to help them because the IRS done caught up to them or something that happened in this regard where you like, golly, it's always something with you. It's always something because they are the architects of their own misery.
Most of the time, it's some loan that they want from you that they can't possibly repay.
Right. Absolutely.
So Jessica also says it's okay to make yourself happy without thinking about others. I think that goes back to I can't see what's behind me.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you realize that, and sometimes it's written affirmations, things you write down and you say, this is my destination and damn it, I'm going to make it. You know, hook or crook, hell or high water, I'm going to make it. And every day you inch towards that destination. What you'll realize is those distractions, those tired moments, those things tend to dissipate more and more because you become more focused and more energized by the progress that you've made towards what you said you wanted to do. The problem is when you're doing it for someone else or you're absolutely lying to yourself. That's why you need the accountability buddy. That's why you need a coach. That's why you need somebody to be like, you sure this is what you want? Why? Where did this come from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I want to pivot to, I guess, activity. So how do you kind of police yourself? I think it was an activity we were saying, picture talking to your younger self was one way.
Absolutely. So I like to do it both ways. I like to talk to yourself 10 years ago and tell yourself where you are now and see if your younger self will be disappointed or actually proud of how you've been able to do what you do and become who you are, despite all of the obstacles and all the other things, the bad investments emotionally, financially that you've made over the last 10 years. If 10 years ago you was like, that's cool, you ain't trick us off too bad, then feel some pride about that. Take the win. You know what I'm saying? Take the win. We got to learn to take the win. If 10 years ago you is disappointed with where the hell you done led us to, why did you keep having these kids? Why did you keep doing this? Is horrible. This is not what we signed up for. Where did we go wrong? Where did we go left? Be honest with yourself with 10 years ago you and explain, and then promise 10 years ago you that 10 years from now you will have a way better conversation with the current you. So project yourself out to, when I have my conversation with myself again 10 years from now, this is what I'm going to say. And there will be no excuses. There may be reasons, but there won't be excuses. A lot of times we create excuses and qualifications and we start blaming and cascading our opportunities on the other people, or we invest in you. You're the best business if you about that business. But stop acting like you're a business person when you didn't go to school for that. Stop acting like you could do it on your own and you independent and you got it and all this and that. When you don't, you're not. We should be interdependent and create the right people to link up with and create a blockchain of success.
I like it. So another comment here. That was a good activity of kind of monitoring it. But is there another activity you have? Monique was saying, if released, how do you get it back?
Your happiness?
Yep.
That doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, that got stolen. There's no insurance. There's no happiness insurance. There's no claim you can put out there.
Happiness?
You got to get new happiness based on the new you, based on the new situation. Because sometimes that's where the trauma gets drugged into the new situation. This is like relationships where you get involved with a man or a woman and they bringing up their old girl or their old dude. And it's like, damn, let that go. Check that baggage. It don't fly with me. You know what I'm saying? You got to check that baggage. Don't let it come into this new relationship. You have to let that go, take the L and move on. And that's the thing that we have to come to terms with grief, the 12 stages of grief. You have to have a funeral for the person that you thought you were supposed to be. You grew up thinking you was going to be in the league, or you was going to tour the world, or you was going to this, that, then you got pregnant, or you had to get a job to help out with the bills or whatever. Let that person die. Let them go. You can grieve them, but then that's what happens when people die. We have to move on. Life is about the living. You, in essence, stop living when you're trying to recreate or resurrect the person that died. Like that person died. I'm not saying don't have dreams. We talked about this last week in your session. It's okay to dream up until you're 25. Then you need to start forecasting. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be on that mindset. But it's programming. This is how they make money off you. This is how they make you feel less than and bad about yourself, because they programmed you to believe that you have to be like other people. You have to fit into the complex that is your neighborhood, your workforce, your society. But the fact is, all you have to do is go do your time, get what you're getting out of the equation, and then come and do what's best for you. That's every time, all the time.
Can we talk a little bit about your circle? Jessica says, sometimes you have to disconnect from people that you care about, friends and family, in order to grow.
So we did a conversation, and I would recommend you go back and see which session it was, and it was on reciprocity. And reciprocity means same time. I don't know you, man. Same time. If you getting what you giving, never disconnect from that. Even if it's bullshit, even if it's foolishness. If you giving some people love drama. Let's just keep it real. Some people love drama. They love to go out there and check and see. They love to see people fall. They think that's funny. You got to be around people that accentuate who you are. Don't try to not be who you are. Lean into who you are and encompass yourself with people that are like-minded, like-spirited. The fact is when you're being fake, you started off with this. If you come in and you being fake, how long is that going to last? How sustainable is that? Eventually, that veil is going to be torn off. And now you're miserable because you created a character or a caricature of who you thought the people wanted you to be. But the human element is very, very volatile. People will change their mind in a minute. So you can go change your body. You can go get you some enhancements or some this or that, cut your hair or whatever for a job or for whatever. And then you realize they didn't care. They didn't care because you didn't communicate up front. Why am I doing this? You just assumed that's what these folks wanted. But if you're with someone who's telling you that they want something that's not you, they're telling you they want something that's not you. Carlos said, your guy Carlos that you introduced me to, said he don't talk to women that don't like him first. That's half the battle. You know what I'm saying? If you like him, then he realizes he don't have to chase. He don't have to do all this extra. There's no impression that has to occur. You've already liked him. I think that's a very Southern dynamic, a Sadie Hawkins type of approach to the situation. But I understand his mentality in that regard.
Yeah, Carlos Miller, the comedian, if y'all want to check him out. So what about pumping yourself up? Daniel says his 39-year-old self would say, you still a beast in spades.
As long as you ain't lying. You know the truth. You know your record. Do you have the notebooks? Once again, it starts with being candid and being honest and unprogramming yourself from what you previously believed. I would question everything. I'm going to go through an exercise with you when you're ready, and it'll be real quick, and it's about programming. And so, and it's a visual. I'll put the visual on the screen and we'll go through it, because I believe that sometimes you're programmed so much by what everybody else is doing that it becomes a shock, and it's a traumatic experience when you have to deprogram yourself and realize this is not what I thought it was. It's a bias. It's not even an unconscious bias. It's a proliferated bias that you've allowed for yourself to succumb to.
Okay. Can you go a little deeper on reason and excuses? Everything Part T said, is there a thin line between the reason and the excuse?
Absolutely. It's a thin line between love and hate and lies and truths. The best lies have a little bit of truth woven into them. So any idea of a reason, it's where you know in your heart and soul, if I tell you this is exactly why it didn't happen, we can go 2 or 3 layers to show you that it wasn't supposed to happen. Let me give you a classic example. I was late to something that was important. Okay. Now, a reason is, hey, I was on the way. There was a chemical spill on the highway. I left 2 hours before I was supposed to. I had a new oil change, a set of clothes, an extra set of clothes in the back seat. You know what I'm saying? It's called force majeure in contract language. Act of God. It was an act of God. There was a reason why I didn't make it on time to something that was important to you. An excuse is, man, my alarm, my phone didn't. I set my phone to PM instead of AM. You know, that kind of stuff. Those are excuses. They're excuses. And as my coach Lawless used to say, excuses are like assholes. Everyone has one, and they all stink. So you know what I'm saying? You can tell a reason. If you have children, especially, you can tell a reason from an excuse, just like that.
What about those who eat? Never mind. Jessica says it takes a network to be successful. It's about who you know and then what skills you have.
I disagree. And so let me explain why I disagree. Because I believe that success is an internal journey, kind of like spirituality. I can be a successful Christian without a network of Christians. Does anybody disagree with that? I got time. Let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. And then the second part that she said, it's about who you know. That's not true. It's about who knows you. Because I know Beyonce and Barack Obama don't do me a damn good at Bank of America. I need for them to know me to put me on. It's not about who you know. It's about who of influence knows you. I need God to know me. I need my clients to know me. Me knowing all the coolest clients doesn't mean anything if they don't know me. So the activation period is once you have exposure to people to where they know you, like you're doing with this channel. Like my inmates used to say, they know me. You know what I'm saying?
So we did go a little bit over, but I wanted to make sure we got to all of the questions in the chat and make sure everyone got their questions or comments addressed, because I think happiness is a big thing. So if one thing can make a person happy, I wanted to make sure we got to it.
But it's not going to be a singular. That's the thing. We're complex individuals. Human beings are the most adaptive creatures. This is why we are the apex on the planet, because of our adaptation. And so in the idea of, as much as we're adaptive, our nuances change. What was your favorite song 10 years ago is still a well-written, well-performed, well-produced, well-engineered song. It's not your favorite. That's just, and don't beat yourself over that. You know, don't beat yourself up. You move on. Things change. That's why you have to readjust and reevaluate relationships constantly. You know what I mean? Because things, if you the same as Muhammad Ali said, if I see the world the same when I was 50 as I did when I was 30, I just wasted 20 years. So in the idea of, you know, trying to keep it the same or keep it status quo, I think that you do yourself a disservice if you're on that. But once again, I believe that we've been programmed to fit into society as opposed to be special and be excitable and be individualistic and make your light shine.
Jessica did disagree with you.
Why?
I
got time.
It's about who you influence and glow to be.
What does that do for you? What here's the situation. I can tell, I don't know Jessica, but I can tell that Jessica has made the day of a waitress or a waiter or a bus driver or a bum that she gave money to, and this, that, and it didn't necessarily, she didn't even notice she was doing it because she was just being herself. It started with her. And then happiness is gravitational. It's like you're like a planet, you're like a mass, right? And then people are drawn to you, but it begins and ends with you. It's not about you trying to get something from them or out of them or even impress them. It's just you was going to do it anyway. Martin Luther King would have did it if 2 people followed him or 2 million people followed him. That's what leaders do. They lead. They just they can't help it. They got a case that can't help it. And so in the idea of you influencing someone, you can't control that. All you can do is your damn thing. That's what you got to do. Your mind is playing tricks on you. Every 20 seconds got you peeping out the window. No, don't worry about that. Just you got a safe home. You know you good. You ain't did nobody wrong. You can't get paranoid to worry about what influences are going on out there, because then you start trying to do it for the algorithm. You start trying to do it for the claps and the thumbs up and the likes. And then you're exhausted because people are fickle.
Okay. Instead of the dream, Monique is asking, the merch, How do I get a shirt?
It's not my thing. I have no idea. I'm just a talent. Like I come on here and give you a session. But I did want to go through this programming before we jump off.
Okay. Oh, it was
Okay,
today.
cool.
You want to go
Yeah,
through?
yeah. I want to do it right now.
Okay.
And so what I brought was a visual aid. And so in this idea, I'm going to show you an image on the screen, and I want you to tell me what you see. It's not a Rorschach kind of thing. Okay.
Smooth operator.
Okay. What's her name?
Sade.
Okay. Her name is Helen Falasade Adu.
Mm-hmm.
This is Sade. Sade is the group's name. But so many people was calling her Sade that she just took it as a stage name eventually after about 7 years. Okay. She allowed for other people to change her actual name. Her name is Helen. She went by Helen. They call her Helen, all of that. The group is called Sade.
No idea.
No idea, because we've been programmed, because nobody went against it. She didn't even go against it at some point. Like, fuck, just, damn, okay, I'm just going to be Sade, right? Like, this is everybody saying it. Instead of me standing up for myself and what my parents named me, I'm just going to be that. Now, I'm not saying it didn't work out. I'm not saying it might have been more convenient. But what I am saying is that's what happened in this regard. And till she dies, I didn't know the group was named Sade until recently when I was doing some research. It's the group, right? Okay. Now, we're going to go to the next one. Do you know who this is?
I have no idea.
Okay, cool. Does anybody in the chat know who it is?
It'll take a sec for it to
Okay,
pop up.
that's cool.
I'm sure they probably do. If I really had to guess with a gun to my head, I'll say Busta Rhymes.
That's funny. That's very, very amusing. So I don't know if you remember this video. It's called Virtual Insanity, but this is Jamiroquai, right? You remember Jamiroquai?
I've heard.
Does that sound familiar?
I heard the name.
Okay, cool. Because you're a music guy, so I try to meet you where you are and talk to you in your language. You know, that's the best coaching. But the reality of it is, his name is Jason J.K. This is Jamiroquai. The group is called Jamiroquai, and he always corrects people when they call him Jamiroquai. He does not allow for that shit. He is not Sade. You know what I'm saying? He is not Sade. And so, once again, we hear something or we believe something, and we don't check it. We don't, go behind it. We just allow for ourselves to be programmed into things, right? And unfortunately, if we just allow for that, we can end up changing our whole legal name. You know what I'm saying? We end up going by a stage name, and you don't want to go by a stage name in life, right? And that's just, the way it is. Do you know who this is? You might not, because you're a little older and I got this from a younger thing.
I'm going to get him a sec to respond. But,
that's cool.
If I have to guess, and I will be wrong.
Okay.
Pretty Ricky?
It is. It is Pretty Ricky.
But I know that's the group name. You didn't get me with this one.
It is Pretty Ricky. And so obviously you can't call any one of them individually Ricky. Like, that's not how this works. Or Pretty. Exactly. So I'm just using music as a fulcrum for you and I to connect in this regard. You know who this is, right? Too.
I have no idea. Bow Wow and Lil Romeo?
That's funny. That's very, very funny.
I have no idea.
Ray Sherman.
Who?
Ray Sherman.
Oh.
So
is the issue more of us associating it, or they giving a group a human name?
Both.
Okay.
Absolutely both. But we didn't challenge it. We didn't question it. We just let it be. The Sade obviously is the biggest since Santa Claus, right? It's the biggest conspiracy ever. And because they didn't make a big deal out of it, we just kept up with the farce. But the reality of it is, you have to make sure that you go beyond the programming and don't just repeat things just because that's what you heard. Fact check, look into it. Make sure that you're good with what you believe it to be and not just what you heard. And that's the issue that you run into. I do have a quick one if you wanted to do it, though. And in fact, it came this morning about the dream.
I got time.
All right.
I will say that Kendra got it right. She said it was Helen.
Okay. That's what's up. See, some people know, but not many do. Only but Bank of America does.
Tell us about the dream, Coach. Tell us about the dream.
All right. So I was actually concerned. I think I've been putting pressure on myself to have I've had some dreams, but they just wasn't show ready. They wasn't for prime time. And then this morning it happened. And I'll allow for you to ask your questions because I know you like to interpret dreams. We talked about Freud and that kind of stuff in one of our sessions. And so this was the genesis of me and the dreams and you and entertaining you.
Can you get the thread off the screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So here's the situation. In the dream, I am in the bed asleep. And in this dream, I have allergies. You'll know where this came from. I have allergies. Okay. And so the allergies are starting to get to me. And at first, I am coughing. And it's every time I inhale, it's a cough and it's pulling me up out of my sleep. And then it turns into me sneezing. And so I'm having a sneeze attack. So it's not just a sneeze here, a sneeze there, a sneeze there. Anyway, obviously, I'm making my bedmate very, very frustrated with this. And so I'm doing the Benadryl thing, the Claritin thing. I'm doing all these things. And eventually, it's so much disruption in the room that I have to go get some kind of shot, some kind of medical thing. And I don't drink, don't smoke. I don't, put stuff in my body. And so in the dream, I get this shot. And the first night I'm on the shot, I come home. And for our older audience, you might understand. For the younger audience, just look it up on YouTube. Every time I breathe in heavy through my left nostril, instead of me sneezing, I do a backspin in the bed, like a breakdance backspin. And so I end up eventually getting into a sneeze, like an attack, like when you sneezing,
Mm-hmm.
and it keep hitting me, and I keep backspinning to where she gets mad and leaves and goes to the other room, and then I wake up.
Do you have allergies now?
No, I don't.
Okay. So it was a breakdance backspin?
Yes, it was. I'm talking about legs tucked, knees tight, hands, it was, but I didn't have to wind up. It was just like a top. It was just, I didn't even have to do the kick.
Was doing it.
Man, yes. Whole king size bed, spinning.
Were you kicking her?
No, it's annoying though. I mean, you don't have to be kicking somebody. If somebody's back spinning next to you in the bed, that's not going to be a conducive night's sleep.
It depends on how well you enjoy backspins.
At some point in time, everything has a threshold. Everything. I mean, this pollen season ain't going nowhere no time soon. I'm sure that she was thinking that when she got her stuff and left.
I enjoy a good backspin.
Until a woman's laying next to you backspin. Until you need a Malcolm exorcism.
Tasmanian devil in your sleep. Okay. I like that.
That's good. That's good.
So all the sneezing, coughing, and the shot doesn't. It seemed like it didn't even cure the first problem. It just gave you.
It did. It did. I stopped coughing, and I barely was sneezing, but it was immediately kicking the backspin into place. So obviously, I got to come off that in the dream.
I don't know where your mind was going. Was that maybe you thought that you needed to be more still? But I don't know where this came from. You did have some allergy tips that came out, but
yeah.
But were you sympathizing with the allergy people?
No, I did. I met you on allergies,
the community.
So I don't know. It was once again. I didn't think I was gonna have a dream this week that was like I said, worthy. And then I woke up this morning. It was like, yes, thank you, crazy minds, conscious mind. You gave the people what they want. So. But, that's all we had. So I wanted to once again thank y'all for almost 600 subscribers. YouTube has said that we one of the hottest, podcasts in our niche out there right now. We're growing super fast. It's only been 60 days and we're just going to keep doing it, like we've been doing it. And I'm enjoying it. So tune in next week live to Coach's Decision with Chris P. Reed. Bring your baggage and drop it off for us to sort through. Until next week, we want you to make sure you like and subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and make sure you take it easy. Or at least take it any way you can get it.